They've kept this secret from you for years. What if everything you've been told is a lie? What if the world is not what you think it is? The truth is about to hit you, and it's not what you expect. Stay tuned. You'll regret not knowing this. Imagine you're sitting in a cafe, surrounded by people. Some are engaged in deep conversation, others are lost in thought, while some appear troubled. You observe them, but instead of just watching, you try to understand what's going on in their minds. You notice the way they move, their gestures, their facial expressions, and more importantly, without them saying a word, you begin to form an impression of their emotions and thoughts. The art of reading people like a book isn't just about observing physical manifestations of emotions or gestures. It's about recognizing the subtle signals people give off and understanding their hidden intentions and emotional states. And it's not magic. It's a combination of knowledge about human psychology and the ability to interpret nonverbal cues. If you want to communicate better and understand others on a deeper level, you must learn to pay attention to the details that most people overlook. The first step in this journey is simple but incredibly important: observing physical cues, movements, posture, facial expressions. Body language can convey much more than words, and it's often the key to understanding someone's true feelings or intentions. As humans, we naturally communicate with gestures and expressions, and sometimes these can be more honest than what we say out loud. Consider this. When you meet someone for the first time, what is your immediate impression? You might notice their stance, their gestures, the way they shake your hand, or even their posture as they sit down. A firm handshake might suggest confidence, while a limp one could indicate discomfort or lack of confidence. A closed-off posture, such as crossed arms, could mean defensiveness or discomfort. An open posture, on the other hand, often signals openness or warmth. Even the way someone holds their head, whether it's down, indicating insecurity, or up, showing confidence, says something about their emotional state. And it's not just about the obvious body language. There are micro-expressions, the tiny, fleeting changes in a person's face that occur in response to emotions, often without them realizing it. A quick twitch of the lip, a slight narrowing of the eyes, or a raised eyebrow. These small signals can tell you a lot about how a person is feeling, even if they try to mask it with their words. Being able to spot these micro-expressions is like unlocking a hidden layer of communication. But here's the thing. It's not just about noticing these signals. It's about interpreting them correctly. Body language and facial expressions are influenced by cultural context, personal habits, and individual differences. For example, in some cultures, making eye contact shows respect, while in others, it can be seen as challenging or disrespectful. Understanding these nuances requires practice and attention to detail. By learning to observe and interpret these signs, you'll start to gain deeper insights into how others are feeling and what they're thinking. You'll be able to detect when someone is hiding something, feeling anxious, or trying to avoid conflict. You'll be better equipped to respond to their needs and engage in more meaningful conversations. But remember, reading people isn't about manipulating others or trying to gain an advantage. It's about understanding and connecting on a deeper level. It's about empathy and the ability to see beyond words to the emotions and thoughts that drive people's actions. It's a skill that, when developed, will enhance your relationships and improve your ability to navigate both personal and professional interactions. When you first meet someone, their body language often speaks louder than their words. It's a powerful tool for understanding people, and surprisingly, It doesn't require years of study to begin reading it. All it takes is awareness and a little practice. One of the most revealing aspects of body language is posture. How a person stands can tell you a lot about their emotional state and how they're feeling about a situation. A person who stands upright with their shoulders back and their chest out likely feels confident or empowered. On the other hand, someone who slouches or hunches over might be feeling insecure, tired, or uncomfortable in their environment. Notice how people hold their bodies in different situations, whether they're in a group setting or alone. These subtle shifts can reveal whether someone is feeling strong, anxious, or even defensive. Another important indicator is the way people position their arms. For example, crossed arms are often seen as a defensive gesture, suggesting that the person might be uncomfortable, closed off, or even trying to protect themselves. However, not all crossed arms are negative. Sometimes, people cross their arms simply out of habit, especially if they feel chilly or need to rest them. It's essential to consider the context. For instance, if you're talking to someone and they've crossed their arms, but they're still maintaining good eye contact and an open face, it's more likely a neutral gesture rather than a sign of defensiveness. Take note of hand movements as well. People who use their hands expressively during conversations are generally more open and comfortable in their environment. On the other hand, someone who keeps their hands hidden or fidgeting nervously may be struggling with anxiety or discomfort. The way someone gestures can reveal their comfort level in a conversation, whether they're actively engaged or simply going through the motions. If they keep their hands close to their body, it could mean they're not fully invested in the discussion. Feet also play a significant role in body language. When we're engaged in a conversation, our feet tend to naturally point toward the person or thing that has our attention. If you're speaking to someone, but their feet are turned away from you, it could indicate disinterest or a desire to leave the conversation. Similarly, when someone is standing with their feet shoulder-width apart, it shows that they are grounded, confident, and not likely to feel threatened. But the most subtle yet crucial sign of body language is the face. It's often said that the face is the most expressive part of the body, capable of conveying an immense range of emotions. A smile can convey happiness or warmth, but a forced or tight smile may indicate discomfort or the desire to mask negative feelings. Pay close attention to people's eyes. They can be the most telling feature of the face. Eyes that dart around quickly or avoid direct contact may suggest nervousness or dishonesty. In contrast, steady eye contact shows confidence, trustworthiness, and sincerity. While body language is essential for reading people, it's important to combine it with context. For example, a person who is fidgeting might just be nervous about a job interview, not necessarily trying to hide something. The key is not to make snap judgments based only on one signal, but to piece together various cues to form a more accurate understanding of what's going on. Body language is an essential part of understanding human behavior. By learning to notice the signs and gestures people give off, you'll start to see past the words they speak and begin to understand their true thoughts and feelings. This skill will help you connect with others more authentically, improve your communication, and navigate social interactions with greater ease. The eyes have always been called the windows to the soul, and there's a reason for that. When you meet someone, one of the first things you notice is their eye contact. It can reveal a lot about how they feel, what they're thinking, and even what they're trying to hide. Eye contact is one of the most powerful and universal forms of nonverbal communication, and it's often the most revealing. When someone is speaking to you and maintains good eye contact, it shows confidence, trust, and sincerity. They are engaged in the conversation, and their focus is entirely on you. On the other hand, when someone avoids eye contact, it can signal discomfort, dishonesty, or insecurity. However, it's important to note that cultural differences play a significant role in how eye contact is interpreted. In some cultures, prolonged eye contact can be seen as rude or confrontational, while in others, it's a sign of respect. The intensity and frequency of eye contact can also reveal a person's emotional state. For example, if someone's eyes widen, it could suggest surprise or excitement. If their pupils dilate, it may indicate interest or attraction. A quick glance away, followed by a return of eye contact, can be a sign of nervousness or self-consciousness. And if someone's eyes are darting around the room, it might indicate anxiety, distraction, or a lack of focus. But not all forms of eye contact are the same. The way we look at people can vary based on context. If someone is looking at you while you're speaking but isn't engaging with their gaze, they might be listening without fully connecting. This type of eye contact can indicate passive interest or a lack of emotional investment. However, when people look directly into your eyes, nod, and show warmth, it demonstrates deep engagement and empathy. A very subtle but powerful form of eye contact occurs when a person looks away for a brief moment and then looks back at you. This brief pause can reveal feelings of hesitation, uncertainty, or contemplation. It's almost as though they're trying to gather their thoughts or figure out what to say next. This brief moment of hesitation can be a clue that the person is trying to communicate something important or make a decision. Another key thing to consider is the blink rate. The number of times someone blinks during a conversation can be linked to their emotional state. A person who blinks rapidly may be feeling stressed, nervous, or overwhelmed. On the other hand, someone who blinks slowly and steadily may be calm, relaxed, and in control. This can be a subtle indicator of how comfortable or uncomfortable they are in the situation. It's important to remember that while eye contact is a powerful tool for reading people, it's only one piece of the puzzle. To get a complete understanding of what someone is feeling, you must consider all of their nonverbal cues, body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. Eye contact, when combined with these other signals, gives you a clearer picture of what's going on beneath the surface. As you practice reading people, you'll start to become more attuned to these subtle shifts in eye contact and what they mean. And the more you understand how others communicate nonverbally, the better you'll be at connecting with them on a deeper level. So, the next time you engage with someone, pay attention to their eyes. You might be surprised at the insights you gain. When you're trying to read people, one of the most fascinating and powerful tools at your disposal is microexpressions. These are tiny, involuntary facial expressions that occur in a fraction of a second, often revealing a person's true feelings, even when they're trying to hide them. Understanding microexpressions can give you an edge in interpreting the emotions of others, often more accurately than their words or body language alone. Microexpressions are the quick, almost imperceptible changes in someone's face that last less than a second. They are often too fast for the conscious mind to catch, but with practice, you can learn to spot them. These expressions occur because emotions are universal across humanity, and our faces naturally reflect what we feel, even when we try to conceal it. They reveal feelings like happiness, anger, sadness, fear, surprise, disgust, and contempt. For instance, when a person smiles, you might assume they're happy. But a genuine smile, known as a Duchenne smile, engages the whole face, including the eyes, causing the corners to crinkle. If someone's smile doesn't involve the eyes and is just a quick, stiff movement of the mouth, it might suggest the smile is not genuine. This could indicate discomfort, politeness, or even a desire to hide negative feelings. Another common microexpression is the raised eyebrow. When someone is surprised, their eyebrows lift for a split second. This expression can be seen in response to unexpected news or when someone is shocked. However, the key to reading microexpressions is timing. A genuine surprise is brief, and once the emotion fades, their facial expression returns to a neutral state. If someone holds their raised eyebrows longer than expected, it could indicate they are not fully shocked, but are processing information or weighing their response. Sadness, for example, is often portrayed through a slight downturn of the mouth corners, a furrowing of the brows, and slightly drooping eyelids. However, in people who try to hide their sadness, this microexpression may only last a split second before they quickly mask it with a neutral or controlled expression. It's these brief windows of emotional honesty that are critical to understanding what someone is truly feeling. The eyes are often a giveaway for fear. Fear can cause rapid blinking or wide-open eyes, and sometimes the pupils may dilate. However, fear is not always dramatic. A person might subtly avert their gaze or look away for a moment when something makes them uneasy. These small changes in behavior can provide clues that the person feels threatened or anxious, even if they appear calm on the surface. As you become more practiced at reading microexpressions, you'll start to notice these brief, fleeting moments more clearly. The key to interpreting them accurately is context. A person might quickly show signs of anger, like a furrowed brow or a tight jaw, but it doesn't always mean they're angry at you. It could be a result of a situation, a memory, or something unrelated. By combining microexpressions with other clues like body language and tone, you can gain a more accurate sense of what's going on inside someone's mind. Learning to spot and interpret microexpressions takes time, and you may not catch them all right away. But with patience and practice, you can develop a sharp sense of awareness that helps you understand the true emotions of those around you. This skill not only improves your ability to communicate, but also helps you connect with others more deeply and empathetically. When we communicate, our words are only a small part of the message we're sending. The tone of voice plays a huge role in how our message is received. It's not just about what we say, but how we say it. A single sentence can carry completely different meanings depending on the tone, volume, and rhythm with which it's spoken. This is a powerful tool for reading people and understanding their true emotions. One of the most important aspects of tone is pitch. The pitch of someone's voice can give you an immediate sense of their emotional state. A higher pitch is often associated with anxiety, stress, or excitement. If someone's voice becomes high-pitched or shaky, they may be feeling nervous or uncomfortable. On the other hand, a low, steady pitch often signals calmness, confidence, or authority. A person who speaks in a smooth, controlled tone is often perceived as confident, while a voice that cracks or wavers can suggest insecurity or doubt. Another key component is volume. People tend to speak more loudly when they are passionate, angry, or excited. A raised voice is often a sign of frustration or a desire to be heard. However, volume isn't just about how loud someone speaks. It's also about how soft they speak. A person who speaks in a soft or quiet voice might be feeling shy, uncertain, or even afraid. They may be hesitant to express themselves or may be trying to avoid attention. Speed also plays a crucial role in tone. When someone speaks quickly, it can indicate excitement, nervousness, or anxiety. A fast pace often occurs when a person is rushing to get their thoughts out or is feeling overwhelmed. Alternatively, when someone speaks slowly, they are often giving themselves more time to think or trying to make sure their words are clear. Speaking slowly can also convey calmness, control, and authority. A person who speaks at a measured pace is often seen as confident and deliberate in their words. Inflection is another subtle but important aspect of tone. Inflection refers to the rise and fall of the voice as it changes pitch during speech. A rising inflection at the end of a sentence can indicate a question or uncertainty. When a person's tone rises at the end of a statement, it suggests they are seeking confirmation or are unsure of their statement. In contrast, a falling inflection indicates finality or confidence. If someone's tone falls at the end of their sentence, it often signals that they are sure of what they're saying or that the conversation is coming to a close. Pauses are also a vital part of tone. A well-timed pause can emphasize a point or give the speaker time to gather their thoughts. A person who pauses before responding may be carefully considering their words, showing that they are thoughtful or cautious. On the other hand, someone who rushes to speak without pauses might be anxious, trying to get their words out before they lose their chance. Understanding the tone of voice is about more than just picking up on emotions. It's about learning how to interpret those emotions accurately. The key is to listen for changes in tone and volume, as they can provide important clues about how the speaker is feeling. Tone can also reveal a person's intentions, whether they are being sarcastic, sincere, or defensive. When you learn to pay attention to tone, you begin to pick up on these subtle cues that can completely change the way you interpret a conversation. For example, someone might say, "I'm fine," but if their tone is flat and their voice is barely audible, you can tell that they're not fine at all. Conversely, someone might say, "I'm really happy for you," but if their voice is filled with sarcasm or bitterness, it's clear they're not expressing genuine joy. Mastering the art of reading tone allows you to communicate more effectively and empathetically. By understanding the emotions behind the words, you can respond in a way that acknowledges and addresses what someone is really feeling, not just what they're saying. This can deepen relationships, resolve conflicts, and build trust. In the world of communication, silence often speaks louder than words. It's easy to focus on what people say, but the pauses, the gaps, and the moments of silence in a conversation can tell you just as much, if not more, about what's truly going on inside their minds. Silence can be uncomfortable, but it's also a powerful tool for reading people. People use silence in many different ways: to process their thoughts, to avoid conflict, to hide their emotions, or even as a form of power. Understanding the meaning behind silence is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. One of the simplest uses of silence is when someone is trying to avoid saying something. Think about the last time someone asked you a tough question, one that you didn't want to answer. Did you remain silent for a moment before responding? That pause can be a sign of hesitation or uncertainty. People who are hiding something often leave these gaps in conversation. They might remain silent when asked a question they don't want to answer or take longer to respond than usual because they're trying to figure out what to say. In contrast, silence can also be a sign of someone who is deep in thought. If you're talking to someone and they go quiet for a moment, it could mean that they're processing the information you've given them. When people are listening intently and focusing on what's being said, they may momentarily withdraw into their thoughts. This kind of silence shows that they are engaged, not avoiding or disengaging from the conversation. If someone takes a pause before responding, It could indicate that they are carefully considering their words, showing respect for the discussion. Sometimes, silence is used to convey emotion. If someone is upset, they might become unusually quiet. This silence could be due to sadness, frustration, or even anger. Rather than shouting or arguing, they might withdraw into silence as a way of processing their feelings or avoiding further conflict. Similarly, in tense or confrontational situations, silence can be a form of power or control. A person might use silence deliberately to assert dominance, make you feel uncomfortable, or force you into action. Silence can also be a reflection of discomfort or awkwardness. When people feel socially awkward or unsure of themselves, they might become silent in an attempt to avoid saying something wrong. It's a defense mechanism, a way of protecting oneself from embarrassment or making a mistake. If you've ever been in an awkward social situation where no one seems to know what to say next, you've likely experienced the power of uncomfortable silence. On the other hand, some people intentionally use silence as a tool in communication. Have you ever noticed how some leaders or public speakers seem to command attention by pausing before they speak? This is a technique used to let their words sink in, to build suspense, or to create emphasis. The strategic use of silence can make a statement more powerful and memorable. In a group setting, silence can also reveal the dynamics at play. If one person remains silent while everyone else is talking, it could be a sign of disinterest, boredom, or frustration. On the other hand, if someone is silent when others are speaking, they might be processing or reflecting on what's being said. It's important to understand these social cues. By observing the moments when people go silent, you can gain a deeper understanding of how they feel about the conversation or the people involved. Ultimately, learning to read silence is about paying attention to the context and understanding the unspoken messages that come with it. Silence is not always negative or uncomfortable. It can be an incredibly valuable form of communication. By observing how people use silence, you'll gain insights into their emotional state, their intentions, and how they feel about the conversation. As you develop this skill, you'll become more attuned to the subtle shifts in communication that many people miss. You'll learn to interpret silence not as a void, but as a message in itself, adding depth to your understanding of others and enhancing your ability to communicate more effectively. One of the most powerful aspects of reading people is being able to detect when someone is being dishonest. While no single clue can tell you with certainty that someone is lying, there are certain patterns and signs that can increase your chances of spotting deception. People who lie often give away subtle cues, whether intentionally or unconsciously, that reveal the truth beneath their words. The first step in recognizing a lie is understanding that people's behavior changes when they're trying to hide something. The body becomes tense, and the usual patterns of behavior are disrupted. A person who is lying may appear more rigid or uncomfortable than usual, as though they are forcing themselves to behave in a certain way. This physical tension is often accompanied by nervous habits like fidgeting, shifting in their seat, or avoiding eye contact. These signs indicate that they're feeling the pressure of their lie and are trying to control the situation. One of the most well-known indicators of lying is the avoidance of eye contact. While some people might look away when they're unsure or distracted, liars often avoid eye contact because they feel guilty or anxious. However, it's important to remember that not everyone who avoids eye contact is lying. Some people simply feel uncomfortable in social situations. So, you need to pay attention to other signs to confirm your suspicions. Another common giveaway is the inconsistency between a person's verbal and nonverbal communication. When people lie, their words and body language often don't align. For instance, they might say something reassuring like, "I'm completely fine," but their body language might suggest otherwise, such as crossed arms, a tense posture, or a forced smile. These contradictions occur because the brain is struggling to align the truth with the fabricated story. If a person's words don't match their tone of voice or facial expressions, this could indicate that they are not being completely truthful. Microexpressions, which we discussed earlier, can also be revealing. A liar's face may betray their emotions even when they try to hide them. For example, when someone tells a lie, they might display a brief flash of fear or guilt, an expression that lasts only a fraction of a second but can be enough to reveal their true feelings. Learning to spot these microexpressions is a powerful tool in detecting deception. Another clue to look for is the way a person answers a question. Liars often provide too much detail, over-explaining or offering unnecessary information in an attempt to make their story seem more believable. In contrast, someone telling the truth is more likely to provide a simple, direct answer. If someone is providing excessive details or seems to be elaborating too much on a particular point, it might be a sign that they're trying to cover something up. Pay attention to their speech patterns as well. A liar might hesitate before answering, take longer pauses, or use distancing language like, "I don't remember," or "I'm not sure." These words can indicate that the person is trying to distance themselves from the truth or avoid giving a clear answer. Liars also tend to use fewer personal pronouns, like I and me, in an attempt to distance themselves emotionally from the lie they're telling. In some cases, liars may show signs of emotional leakage, where their emotions, like fear or guilt, surface briefly despite their attempt to suppress them. These signs can include a slight shift in the tone of their voice, an awkward pause, or a change in their breathing pattern. When people lie, they often experience a stress response, and their body shows it. While these clues can be helpful in identifying deception, it's important to remember that detecting lies is not an exact science. People can exhibit these behaviors for reasons other than lying, such as stress, anxiety, or nervousness. Therefore, you should always consider the context and use multiple cues to form an accurate understanding of the situation. It's also essential to build trust with others. Remember, sometimes people lie to protect themselves or avoid conflict, so understanding their motives is just as important as recognizing the lie itself. Being able to detect lies can be a valuable tool in both personal and professional relationships. By paying attention to the subtle signs of deception, you can make more informed decisions and navigate interactions with greater clarity and understanding. But remember, the most important thing is to approach others with empathy and avoid jumping to conclusions. The truth will often reveal itself in time, and your ability to read people will only grow stronger as you practice. Confidence is an essential trait that influences how people carry themselves in the world. Understanding the subtle cues that indicate someone's level of confidence, or lack thereof, can give you significant insight into their emotional state. The way a person holds themselves, speaks, and reacts to different situations can reveal their self-assurance or insecurity. One of the first signs of confidence is posture. Confident individuals tend to stand or sit with a straight back, shoulders pulled back, and their chests slightly lifted. This posture reflects their self-assurance and comfort with who they are. In contrast, People who feel insecure may slouch or hunch their shoulders, trying to make themselves smaller or less noticeable. This shrinking posture often signals a lack of confidence or discomfort in the situation. The way someone walks is another indicator of confidence. People who are confident tend to walk with purpose, their steps steady and assured. They make their way through a room or down a hallway without hesitation, and their stride is typically longer and more fluid. On the other hand, someone who feels insecure or unsure of themselves might have a hesitant or slow walk, avoiding eye contact with others, and appearing smaller in their movements. Speech patterns also reveal a lot about a person's confidence. Confident speakers tend to speak at a measured pace, without rushing to finish their sentences. They enunciate clearly and often use pauses to emphasize key points. Their tone is steady and their volume is consistent, reflecting comfort with their own words. In contrast, someone who is insecure may speak too quickly, as if rushing to get their words out, or they may avoid speaking altogether. Their voice might shake or become quiet, and they may use filler words like or to fill gaps in their speech, which often reflects uncertainty. When it comes to social interactions, confident individuals are more likely to engage with others openly. They are often comfortable starting conversations, maintaining eye contact, and expressing their thoughts clearly. People who are insecure, on the other hand, may avoid eye contact, speak less, or keep to themselves. They might shy away from engaging in group discussions or avoid taking the lead in social settings, as they fear judgment or rejection. A confident person is also more likely to stand their ground in the face of disagreement. They are less likely to be defensive or overly apologetic. Instead, they express their opinions with clarity and conviction, even if those opinions differ from others. On the contrary, someone with insecurity might become defensive, quickly backing down or trying to please everyone. They might apologize excessively or seek validation from others, showing that they lack belief in their own opinions. It's important to remember, though, that confidence and insecurity aren't always black and white. People can have moments of insecurity even if they generally project confidence, and vice versa. For example, someone might appear confident in a job interview but feel insecure when placed in an unfamiliar social situation. The key is to look for patterns in behavior over time, rather than making judgments based on one isolated interaction. As you begin to observe these signs more closely, you'll gain a deeper understanding of how people feel about themselves in different environments. By recognizing when someone is confident or insecure, you can adjust your communication style to either support their confidence or provide reassurance and empathy when needed. It's all about connecting with people at the level they are at, creating an environment of trust, and fostering meaningful interactions. The true art of communication isn't just about speaking, it's about listening. Often, people say more than they realize when they talk. What they don't say can be just as important as what they do. Learning how to listen between the lines allows you to gain deeper insights into their true feelings and intentions beyond the surface-level words they use. One of the most telling signs that someone is holding back information is when they provide vague or evasive answers. If you ask someone a direct question and they respond with generalities like, "I don't know," "It's fine," or "Nothing's wrong," it's often an indicator that they are not being fully transparent. These types of answers allow them to avoid giving away specific details, often because they are either trying to hide something or are unsure of how to express their feelings. Sometimes, people will give a response that seems like it doesn't quite match the question asked. For example, If you ask someone how their day went and they start talking about what they had for lunch instead, they may be avoiding the real topic. This could be a way of deflecting attention from something uncomfortable or difficult to discuss. The key is to notice these shifts in conversation and to recognize when someone is trying to divert the focus away from a sensitive subject. In addition, listen carefully to the language someone uses. Words can reveal more than just their meaning. They can give insight into how someone perceives themselves or a situation. For example, someone who is insecure might frequently use words like "I don't know," "maybe," or "I think," which show a lack of confidence in their opinion or decision-making. On the other hand, a confident person might use more decisive language such as "I'm sure," "I believe," or "this is how I see it," reflecting their conviction and certainty. The tone of someone's voice also plays a significant role in understanding what they are really trying to convey. Even if their words seem calm and neutral, a slight change in tone can indicate a hidden emotion. For example, if someone says, "I'm fine," but their tone sounds strained or flat, it's likely that they are not, in fact, fine. A change in pitch or speed of speech can indicate nervousness, frustration, or other emotions that might not be fully expressed in their words. Another useful skill is to pay attention to contradictions between what someone says and how they behave. If a person tells you that they're not upset, but their body language suggests otherwise, such as crossed arms, tensed shoulders, or avoidance of eye contact, there's likely a disconnect between what they're saying and how they're actually feeling. These contradictions provide valuable clues to understanding what's going on beneath the surface. Listening between the lines also involves noticing the things people don't say. For example, if someone is speaking about an experience but avoids mentioning key details, it could indicate they're uncomfortable or don't want to reveal the full story. Silence, in this case, is just as telling as words, and it's important to observe the gaps in conversation. These omissions can help you understand what someone might be hiding or avoiding. By improving your ability to listen between the lines, you'll start to catch the subtle messages that others may not be aware they are sending. This skill allows you to build deeper connections, resolve misunderstandings, and communicate more effectively. It's not about being suspicious or overanalyzing every word, but about becoming more attuned to the unspoken elements of a conversation that can give you a richer understanding of someone's true thoughts and emotions. One of the most subtle yet effective ways of reading people is through mirroring. Mirroring is when you unconsciously or consciously mimic another person's body language, speech patterns, or behavior. This powerful tool is used to build rapport, create trust, and deepen connections between individuals. Mirroring is natural. It's something humans do instinctively. When we feel comfortable around someone, we tend to adopt similar gestures, posture, or even speech patterns. This creates a sense of familiarity and comfort, signaling that we are on the same wavelength. When someone mirrors you, it shows they are paying attention, they like you, or they are in sync with your feelings. For example, if you're speaking to someone and they cross their arms after you do, lean forward when you do, or even match your tone of voice, it's a sign they are engaged and connecting with you. In a conversation, this mirroring may not always be immediate, but it often happens naturally as people begin to feel more comfortable with one another. Interestingly, mirroring can also work in reverse. If you mirror someone else's body language subtly, they are more likely to feel comfortable around you and even begin to trust you. This technique is often used in sales or negotiations, where establishing a connection and building rapport is key to creating a positive relationship. However, mirroring needs to be done carefully and subtly. Overdoing it can make the other person uncomfortable, as it may seem like imitation rather than connection. For instance, if you mimic their every movement too obviously or too quickly, it can appear insincere or manipulative. The key to successful mirroring is subtlety, matching someone's gestures, posture, or tone in a way that feels natural and respectful. You can also mirror someone's emotional state to show empathy and understanding. If a person is upset, mirroring their tone, pace, and even their body language can demonstrate that you are in tune with their emotions. For example, if someone is speaking slowly and with a heavy tone because they are sad, adopting a similar pace and tone can convey that you are attuned to their emotional state and share their feeling of gravity. In contrast, if you want to lift someone's mood or help them feel more comfortable, you might mirror their body language in a more open and energetic way. By mirroring confidence and openness, you can help the other person feel at ease and more likely to engage with you. Mirroring isn't just about mimicking outward behavior. It's about creating a genuine connection. When you mirror someone, you signal that you understand them, that you are on the same page, and that you are emotionally in tune. Over time, this skill can make your interactions smoother and more meaningful, helping you to communicate effectively and build deeper relationships with others. When it comes to reading people, context is key. While body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice are crucial for understanding emotions, they don't tell the full story on their own. Context, the situation, environment, and relationship you have with the person, shapes how you interpret these cues. Without considering context, you might misread someone's behavior or intentions. For example, someone who avoids eye contact in a job interview might seem evasive or insecure. However, if you know that they are extremely shy or nervous about the interview, that lack of eye contact could simply be a result of anxiety rather than dishonesty. Understanding the context of a person's actions allows you to make more informed judgments. Context also refers to the environment in which the conversation or interaction is taking place. Someone might appear tense in a social gathering, but if they're in a crowded room full of strangers, their body language might reflect their discomfort with the situation rather than their feelings toward you specifically. In this case, recognizing that the environment is overwhelming them helps you understand their behavior more clearly. Another important aspect of context is the relationship between you and the person you are observing. People behave differently depending on their relationship with you. For example, someone may act more reserved or formal in a professional setting, but in a more personal context, they might show warmth, openness, and even vulnerability. Understanding the dynamic between you and the other person helps to put their behavior into perspective. Cultural context is also an important factor to consider. Different cultures have different norms when it comes to body language, eye contact, and expressions of emotion. For example, in some cultures, direct eye contact is seen as a sign of confidence and respect, while in others, it can be considered rude or confrontational. Gestures that are common in one culture may have a completely different meaning in another. Being mindful of cultural differences ensures you don't misinterpret someone's actions. To truly read people effectively, you need to understand the broader picture. Look at the circumstances surrounding their behavior and consider their background, personality, and current emotional state. A single gesture or phrase doesn't define someone. It's how everything fits together that reveals the true meaning behind their actions. By recognizing and understanding the role of context, you can become more accurate in your ability to read people and respond to their needs in a thoughtful, empathetic way. Context provides depth and clarity, transforming what might initially seem like confusing or contradictory behavior into something meaningful and understandable. Effective communication isn't just about speaking, it's about listening. When you truly listen, you can gain insights into someone's thoughts, feelings, and intentions. But it's not just about hearing the words they say. It's about understanding the deeper messages that lie beneath. Listening closely allows you to pick up on things that aren't said, giving you a clearer picture of the other person's emotional state and what they might need from you. One of the first things to recognize is that people often don't express their emotions directly. Instead, they may hint at them, or their body language may reveal more than their words. For example, someone might say, "I'm fine," but if they speak in a flat tone, avoid eye contact, or cross their arms defensively, these nonverbal cues tell you that they might not be fine at all. Listening carefully to both their words and their body language helps you detect these contradictions and understand what's really going on. Another key aspect of listening is being fully present. This means paying attention not just to the content of what someone says, but also to their emotional state and how they say it. When you're truly listening, you pick up on subtle shifts in tone, pauses, and changes in energy that can reveal how someone feels. For example, if someone speaks quickly or nervously, it might indicate anxiety. If they pause frequently or speak slowly, they might be trying to process their thoughts before speaking, or they may be uncertain. One of the most important tools for effective listening is asking open-ended questions. These questions invite the other person to share more deeply about their thoughts and feelings, allowing you to better understand their perspective. Instead of asking yes or no questions like, "Are you okay?" try asking, "How are you feeling about this situation?" or "Can you tell me more about what's going on?" These kinds of questions create space for more meaningful conversations, giving you a chance to connect on a deeper level. Active listening also involves acknowledging the other person's feelings, especially when they are vulnerable or upset. Sometimes, people just need someone to hear them out without offering advice or judgment. By validating their emotions, you show that you understand and care about what they're going through. Phrases like, "That must be really hard for you," or "I can see why you'd feel that way," can be incredibly powerful in building trust and fostering a connection. Listening deeply also means being patient. Often, people need time to express their thoughts and emotions fully. Don't rush to fill the silence or interrupt them. Instead, give them the space they need to open up. This patience not only helps you gather more information, but also signals that you are genuinely interested in what they have to say. Through attentive and empathetic listening, you can build stronger relationships and deepen your understanding of others. It's not just about hearing their words, but about tuning into the unsaid, reading between the lines, recognizing emotions, and responding with empathy and care. Emotions play a significant role in shaping how people act, often more than they realize. Recognizing the emotional state of someone can help you understand their behavior, reactions, and even their communication style. Emotions are powerful drivers of human behavior, and by paying attention to how people express or conceal their emotions, you can gain a better understanding of what they're really feeling. One of the most noticeable emotional states that influence behavior is stress. Stress can manifest in various ways, both physically and emotionally. When someone is stressed, their body language might become tense, their speech might speed up or become more erratic, and they may seem distracted or irritable. Stress can cause people to become defensive, withdrawn, or short-tempered. Recognizing the signs of stress allows you to adjust your approach, whether by offering support, giving them space, or helping to diffuse a tense situation. Anger is another emotion that often affects people's behavior in dramatic ways. When someone is angry, they might exhibit more aggressive body language, such as clenched fists, a rigid posture, or rapid movements. Their tone of voice may become louder or sharper, and their facial expressions will likely show signs of frustration or irritation. While some people might express anger openly, others might suppress it, which can manifest as passive-aggressive behavior or subtle signs of resentment. Recognizing anger early allows you to navigate difficult situations with greater care, helping to de-escalate the conflict. On the opposite end of the emotional spectrum, happiness and excitement are easy to spot. People who are happy often have an open posture, make frequent eye contact, and use expressive gestures. Their speech is more animated, and they might laugh or smile more than usual. Excitement can also cause people to speak faster or in bursts, as they want to share their enthusiasm. Understanding these positive emotional states can help you engage with others in a joyful and meaningful way, creating an environment where they feel comfortable expressing themselves. Sadness, like other emotions, is often revealed through subtle changes in behavior. Someone who is sad may appear withdrawn or less energetic. Their posture might be slouched, and their facial expressions might show a lack of enthusiasm or happiness. Their voice might sound lower or more monotone, and they may avoid making eye contact or engaging with others. While some people may try to mask their sadness with forced smiles or laughter, you can often detect the underlying emotion by paying attention to their physical state and overall demeanor. Anxiety is a complex emotion that can be harder to read, but it often reveals itself through nervous habits like fidgeting, biting nails, or avoiding eye contact. People who are anxious may speak quickly, as though they are trying to get their words out before they lose their chance. They might also display signs of restlessness or discomfort, such as tapping their foot or shifting positions frequently. Recognizing anxiety allows you to approach someone with care and compassion, offering reassurance if needed. By understanding how different emotions influence behavior, you can adapt your communication and actions to respond more effectively to the people around you. Emotional intelligence, or the ability to recognize and manage emotions, both your own and others, is a crucial skill for building strong, authentic relationships and navigating complex social dynamics. By observing and interpreting emotional states, you can communicate with more empathy and create deeper connections with others. People's actions are often driven by deeper motivations, desires, fears, values, and goals that influence their decisions and behavior. Understanding these motivations can give you powerful insights into why people do what they do, even if they don't always express their reasons openly. By observing and interpreting the signs of motivation, you can communicate more effectively and build stronger, more authentic connections. One of the most powerful motivators is the desire for validation. Many people act in ways that seek approval from others, whether it's from their peers, family, or colleagues. This need for validation can manifest in various behaviors. Someone might go out of their way to please others, agree with everything they hear, or engage in attention-seeking actions. By noticing when someone is overly focused on getting approval, you can better understand their underlying insecurity and offer the reassurance they need, without reinforcing unhealthy patterns. Another common motivator is the desire for control. Some people act in ways that give them a sense of power or control over their environment. This need can stem from a variety of factors, including past experiences or a fear of being vulnerable. People who seek control might display more authoritative body language, give unsolicited advice, or dominate conversations. Understanding this drive can help you navigate relationships where one party may struggle with giving up control, allowing for more balanced interactions. On the other hand, some people are motivated by a deep sense of freedom or independence. These individuals value autonomy and might resist rules or authority. They may avoid committing to obligations or hesitate to follow conventional paths. Their behavior often reflects a desire to do things on their own terms and find unique solutions to problems. Recognizing when someone's actions are driven by a need for freedom allows you to respect their boundaries and avoid pushing them into situations where they feel restricted. The need for security is another major motivator. People who prioritize security, whether financial, emotional, or physical, often make decisions that protect their stability. They might avoid risk, focus on long-term planning, or seek stable relationships and environments. Understanding this motivation can help you offer the right kind of support to someone who may be hesitant to take chances or who finds comfort in routines. The desire for achievement is also a significant motivator. Many people are driven by the need to succeed, excel, and be recognized for their hard work. This motivation often manifests as ambition, competitiveness, or a strong focus on personal goals. People motivated by achievement may be particularly driven in their careers or hobbies, constantly seeking ways to improve and accomplish more. Recognizing this drive in others allows you to support their aspirations and celebrate their successes. Sometimes, people are motivated by a desire to help others. Altruism and empathy can drive people to act selflessly, whether they are volunteering, offering support, or advocating for a cause. Recognizing this motivation can help you connect with people on a deeper emotional level, as you acknowledge and appreciate their desire to make a positive impact. By understanding what motivates the people around you, you can tailor your interactions to meet their needs, strengthen your relationships, and communicate more effectively. Recognizing someone's deeper drives allows you to understand their actions in context, responding with greater empathy and insight. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. It's a skill that allows us to connect with others on a deeper level, to experience their emotions as if they were our own. When you learn to read people and understand their emotions, you also learn the power of empathy. This ability to step into someone else's shoes and see the world through their eyes is essential for building strong relationships and effective communication. Empathy starts with listening. Really listening to what someone is saying, not just with your ears, but with your heart. It's about tuning into their emotional state and responding with compassion and understanding. When you listen empathetically, you acknowledge the emotions behind the words, showing the other person that you are present and engaged. This simple act can build trust and create a safe space for them to express themselves freely. Sometimes, people just need someone to hear them out. They might not be looking for advice or solutions, but rather a listening ear. By offering your full attention and emotional support, you validate their feelings and show that you care. This can be incredibly powerful, especially when someone is going through a difficult time. It's not always about fixing the problem. It's about being there for them, understanding their pain, and offering comfort. Empathy also helps you respond more effectively to others' needs. When you truly understand how someone is feeling, you can tailor your communication to provide the support they need. For example, if someone is anxious, you might use calming language and offer reassurance. If they're excited, you can share in their joy and enthusiasm. Empathy allows you to adapt your approach based on the emotions and needs of the other person, fostering a deeper connection. Another important aspect of empathy is nonverbal communication. Sometimes a simple gesture, a warm smile, a comforting touch, or a nod of understanding can convey empathy more powerfully than words. By being mindful of your own body language and facial expressions, you can send the message that you are truly attuned to the other person's emotions. This nonverbal empathy creates a bond that words alone cannot. Empathy also involves recognizing and respecting others' emotional boundaries. Some people may need space to process their feelings, while others may prefer to talk things through immediately. By observing their cues and responding appropriately, you can avoid overwhelming them and allow them to open up at their own pace. Ultimately, empathy is about connection. It's about understanding not just the surface-level words someone says, but the emotions and experiences that lie beneath. It's a skill that helps you navigate social situations with compassion and insight, strengthening your relationships and making you a better communicator. When you can read people with empathy, you can create deeper, more meaningful connections, fostering trust, understanding, and mutual respect.